useful. They released him with a small military force to claim his father's throne. Yes, they literally were like, yeah, we're going to send you out to go cause problems, and you're going to go upend the throne there, and you're going to, basically do our bidding. Now, his first reign only lasted 2 months before enemies actually drove him out. But even in that brief time, 17-year-old Vlad displayed an unusual cruelty. And for the next 8 years, Vlad served in various armies and learned everything there was to know about warfare. He even fought alongside that same guy, John Hunyadi, the man who had killed his father, because, revenge could wait, but understanding warfare couldn't. So as a result, he studied fortress construction and cavalry and psychological warfare. And most importantly, he built a network of supporters who shared his hatred of both the Ottomans and Wallachia's, treacherous nobility that assassinated his father and, tortured and killed his brother. Now, in 1456, with Hungarian backing, Vlad invaded Wallachia again, and this time he succeeded. The current ruler, Vladislav II, challenged him to a single kind of hand-to-hand combat. And according to chronicles, Vlad didn't just defeat him, he slowly sawed through his neck while he was still conscious. Yeah. And now comes one of history's most calculated massacres. 1457, and what better day to do it than Easter Sunday? Vlad invited hundreds of what they called boyar families, basically the nobles of Wallachia, that, the same people that basically betrayed his entire family lineage. And he invited them to a feast at the palace. And these were the same people that literally killed his father, killed his brother, and they arrived in their finest clothes, believing that the new prince wanted peace and that they could maybe, work with him and sway him and bribe him and that they could all be really nice. Now, during the feast, Vlad stands up and he asks a simple question. He says, "How many princes have you seen rule Wallachia in your lifetime?" And he went around the table and the answers varied, right? Some people were like, 5, 20. Some of the real old nobles said, 30. Each answer was a confession. These people had survived by constantly switching sides, going with the person who was in power and just appeasing them, just sycophants to whoever was in power. And as a result, they betrayed every ruler and every new ruler. And so Vlad gave a signal. And when he gave the signal, soldiers burst through the doors and chained everyone up. He ordered the elderly to be impaled immediately in the courtyard. And what happened next varies depending on which chronicle you read. Some sources say that he ordered the elderly impaled immediately in the courtyard. Others claim that he fired artillery directly at the gathered nobles. Still, other accounts say that he handed them over to angry mobs who then just tore them apart. What's consistent across all the versions is that many of them were killed on the spot, while the younger and stronger ones were forced to march to a ruined castle and rebuild it stone by stone, working until their fancy, ostentatious clothes rotted off their bodies. And when they collapsed from exhaustion, they were too impaled. Then, in 1459, the Saxon city of Brasov made a fatal error. They harbored all of Vlad's enemies. He sent a warning, and they ignored it. So, what does Vlad do? He's got to get it back in blood. Yeah, this guy holds a grudge. So, Vlad basically arrived with an army and transformed the city into a display of horror. Just literally, men, women, children were all impaled in organized rows. And according to German chronicles, he set up a dining table amongst the dying and ate while surrounded by thousands of victims in various stages of death. And the numbers are staggering. Historians estimate that Vlad killed between 40 and 80,000 people during his reign. In a principality of only 500,000, that's literally 1 in 5 people. And unlike distant dictators who would give orders and kind of leave the mess of, death and horror kind of to the soldiers and just stay away from it, Vlad personally supervised executions and developed variations of impalement based on the victim's supposed crimes. So, in 1462, Sultan Mehmed II, the conqueror of Constantinople, demanded tribute from Wallachia, including 500 boys for the Janissary Corps. Now, Vlad's response was very defiant. When Ottoman envoys refused to remove their turbans in his presence, citing a religious custom like, hey, we're not going to take off our religious garb, Vlad had the turbans nailed to their skulls with iron spikes. They were then sent back to Constantinople alive and used as a warning. Now, take this incident as a persistent legend likely rooted in 15th century propaganda. Again, no one's really sure if this actually happened literally, but still, the myth persists. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break real quick because we got to have some real talk, all right? If you've ever brushed off white flakes from a black t-shirt, okay, that's not dry scalp or whatever you're telling yourself, right? That's dandruff. And dandruff is caused by a fungus. Now, most shampoos don't actually fix that. No, they just dry out your scalp even more, so you just keep on buying the shampoo. And honestly, a lot of these formulas haven't even changed since like the 1960s. Every big shampoo brand was developed then, which is also when doctors were like, hey, take a cigarette for some stress. And that's why I like Flakes. See this right here? This is Flakes. It is an anti-dandruff shampoo and conditioner that actually targets the problem. It's got 2 times the active ingredient perithione zinc than the standard drugstore brands, and it was developed by a top dermatologist out of New York City. Now, here's the part that most people miss. Scalp health is hair health. That dandruff fungus irritates your scalp, which then causes you to itch it all the time. And then it leads to more inflammation and then even shedding. Yes, it even can cause you to lose your hair. Clear the scalp and your hair will look better and fuller and healthier. And Flakes does something that's great. They don't do like the 2-in-1 lazy thing. No. Shampoo clears the fungus and the flakes, and then the conditioner puts moisture back into your scalp with MCT oil so that your hair actually stays soft and flexible instead of breaking off in the shower. Also, it smells great, like clean, you know, it's not medicinal, it's not overpowering. There's no harsh junk in it that makes your scalp even worse off than it was before and keeps you in the cycle. I mean, straight up, I just used Flakes today. All right, I'm telling you, it's so moisturizing. It makes your hair feel great. Even if you don't have dandruff, it's great for your hair, and it'll keep you from ever getting dandruff. It is dermatologist developed. It's already used by hundreds of thousands of guys, and honestly, it's just a grown-up move. And right now, you can get 20% off plus a free scalp brush, all right, and a 30-day money-back guarantee if you use the code CAMP. That's CAMP. And if it doesn't work for you, you're not stuck with it. Yeah. That's right, the promo code CAMP, C-A-M-P, for 20% off, free scalp brush, which feels incredible on your scalp, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's literally nothing to lose. Give it a shot. You're going to get 20% off, and if you don't like it within 30 days, just tell them, hey, this wasn't for me. You're getting your money back, and nothing is going to be lost, except, obviously, the flakes on your shirt that you've been brushing away. So look, take care of the roots, get better hair. Your black shirts are actually going to be black again. The itch on your scalp is gone. That's the Flakes promise. Now let's get back to the show. Now, as the legend goes, the Sultan sees this and responded by personally leading a massive army to Wallachia. And sources vary from 150,000 to 300,000. I mean, massive, massive numbers of troops. And Vlad had perhaps like 30,000 troops at most. He wasn't going to win a conventional battle, so he employed a scorched earth tactic. The Ottomans found every field burned. Every well was poisoned. Every village evacuated. They marched through a desolate wasteland, unlike anything they had seen before. And on June 17th, 1462, Vlad attempted this crazy undercover night raid to assassinate Mehmed in his tent. Vlad and his soldiers disguised themselves as Turkish soldiers to infiltrate the Ottoman camp undetected. With the small force disguised in enemy uniforms, Vlad snuck into the Ottoman camp in the middle of the night. However, they entered on the side of the camp filled with pack animals and supplies, which caused them to get lost in the confusion. And in the darkness and the chaos, they finally reached what they believed was the Sultan's tent, but it turned out to be the wrong tent. So instead of finding Mehmed, they discovered the Grand Vizier. Now, the assassination failed. Some accounts suggest that after realizing their mistake, that Vlad's men set fire to tents throughout the camp, creating just a mass panic. And as the soldiers woke up to flames and chaos, Vlad and his men basically escaped, as the entire Ottoman army was mobilizing. Now, the next day, as Mehmed's army approached the capital of Wallachia, they discovered something that would become legendary. For miles around the city stood an estimated 20,000 dull wooden posts sticking up out of the ground, 20,000 stakes, each holding a human corpse or a dying person. Turkish soldiers, Bulgarian Muslims, Wallachian traders, all arranged neatly. And the smell made these hardened warriors vomit, and the sight of this type of horror made some of them cry. Ottoman morale collapsed. Hardened Ottoman soldiers were horrified by the sight of their comrades, including high-ranking commanders like Hamza Pasha, the Bey of Nicopolis, left to rot on these stakes. Mehmed II reportedly expressed amazement at Vlad's ruthlessness, stating he could not take the land of a man who practiced such unnatural governance. Now, Sultan Mehmed II, staring at this literal forest of death, shifted his strategy to ensure Vlad's downfall. The conqueror of Constantinople retreated.